To the cloud. All right, good morning. I'm showing my screen this morning because I'm going to be showing you a couple of things online that I want you to be able to see, just some resources for when I get people to host classes for me. So one thing, when you first start doing your business, you'll feel like you've got your warm market. You've got your family, your friends, you've got people who are all, they're all ears. They're ready to listen to you talk about your oils. They're willing to come to classes. A lot of people are excited. And then after you get those few people enrolled, you might have a class or two and it's like, hey, this is great. People are so excited. I'm getting people enrolled. And then it starts dying off and you're like, okay, I've been inviting the same 20 people to class and nobody's showing up, and it starts to get really frustrating. And so it is super important that you get other people to host for you when you're doing your classes. So I want to just talk about some of the incentives and things that I do when I host classes, or how I get people to host classes for me. So the first thing that I like to do is, have a class, and I'm going to just share with you guys right now. I am pregnant and I do not feel super great, so I've got to eat. So I apologize. But anyway, I always like to do a class, get people there. And if it's been a while since you've done a class, you could even do a class like making things for Mother's Day, making Mother's Day gifts, or you could do a spring cleaning class, or you could do a class on oils that you would want for the summer. Just something fun that might get people's attention. That people that are like, hey, I'd love to make a Mother's Day gift. I don't really know what to get my mom this year, or my mother-in-law. So I think I would love the idea of being able to get a gift or make a gift. So what you can do is host a class. I always mention at the class, every class that I do, I always have some sort of gift or incentive for hosting. And sometimes I will leave without anybody wanting to host. So I don't want anyone to ever think that this is foolproof and works every time. Like, you do need to expect sometimes you'll get hosts and sometimes you won't, and that's okay. But you're certainly not going to get any hosts if you don't ask at all. So one thing I like to do, and I've done different things throughout the year. Sometimes I'll bring a diffuser. Now diffusers are a little bit more prevalent and maybe not as good of an incentive for people. Back when I was doing this 10 years ago, not everybody had diffusers, and they were like, sure, I'll host a class in exchange for a diffuser. So now I might bring an oil that I think they might like, or I might bring, another thing I've done before is brought like one of the little keychains that you can buy through doTERRA that hold 8 little vials in them. If you put oils in those, like I'll even just fill some fun things that I know people might like that may not come in the kits. Like maybe some citrus bliss, or I know that some of the kits have balance, but most of them don't. Put balance in there, or Siberian fir, or grapefruit, just fun things. Fill it up and just say anybody that wants to host a class will get this keychain. Now, one thing that I do is I always offer a gift for hosting, but then I also like to offer a gift for good performance at their class. So I'll have a hosting gift, which might be a keychain. It could be and I've done fun things where I've had a basket of gifts, and I just say, and I'll have like a number that corresponds with each gift, and they'll draw. And if they agree to host, they'll get that gift. Add Mia back in. So they'll get that gift, which is really nice, because then, people get excited. It's like, and sometimes I'll even have like a bottle of frankincense, and I might have a bottle of lemon, a bottle of frankincense. And it's just say, hey, this is the gifts. You'll earn one of these gifts for agreeing to host the class. And in exchange, they do need to book the date right then and there. We need to pick a date and a time that's going to work. And then I'll just say, listen, I will give you, what I like to do is any money that I would make in Fast Start. So I usually like to give them, I like to give that back in hosting money. So for example, I might let's say that somebody hosts a class for me. Well, I'll give them 10% of the PV that I bring in through the class in gifts. You can throw it back in cash. You could just say, hey, I'll give you 10% from anything that you sell. You could do that as a gift. You could just say, hey, if you're able to bring in 500 in sales, that's 50 PV. So you could give them your 3 favorite mood oils, or if it's 1,000 PV, you could give them a skincare set. But I like to get them a gift to book a class, but then I also like to get them a gift for performance, because I have had people do classes for me before, And it's like, hey, I get my free gift. And they invited, like I had one lady invite her pregnant sister, her 90-year-old grandma. You know, it was kind of frustrating because I was like, well, none of these people are going to buy anything. But she did her class. She wanted a free gift. So that's why I've learned, have a small hosting gift, but then have something for, you know, a good turnout. So, you know, one thing that I have done is in the very beginning of my business, I asked people to host for me. And I just simply said, you know, I am getting going on this business. And I find the more honest you are, the better, because you all know what it's like to have somebody show up at your house. I'll never forget. Someone came to me and my husband and said, hey, you guys have owned your own businesses before. I really want to get your advice. And my husband was so flattered. This was like 11 years ago. And he was just so flattered. And this guy came over and pitched Melaleuca to us, the company. And my husband was like, you just baited and switched me. You wanted my advice, but really you wanted to pitch Melaleuca. Like it was just very frustrating, you know, but yet when somebody really values your opinion, you're like, yeah, please come over. So for me, I am all about being upfront and just saying, hey, I'm getting going on this business. You know, COVID has been really rough for our family. I am trying to find extra ways to make money. One thing I am doing right now is selling essential oils. And I don't know if you'd be willing to host a class for me, but I would love it if you would. And in exchange, here's what I'm going to give you for your help, because I know that this takes time and effort on your part. And I would love your support if you're up for it. And I will make it super simple for you. I'll drop the invites off at your house. I always actually like to give a little sample to everybody beforehand. I will get all of that ready for you if you're just willing to host and invite your friends. And sometimes I'll even, if someone who hasn't tried oils before, I'll like drop them off a little set of oils they can use. I apologize. I'm so sorry. So I will drop little oil samples off to them or whatever, but I make it really simple. So here's what I wanted to show you right now. So anybody that hosts, I give them a share guide. doTERRA. And I should also mention another thing that I do is I always, whenever I do a wellness consult with somebody, so when somebody buys the oils, I'll tell them, okay, as soon as your oils arrive, I'm going to do a wellness consult with you. I'm going to go through and show you how to use everything. And at that wellness consult, always, if they want to host, I'll just simply say, you know, I know that as we've been sitting here, because, you know, a lot of times people will be like, oh, my mom, my sister, my friend, they would love this. And I'll just say, no, I've heard you mention a couple people that would be interested in learning more. I would love to do a class, even if it's just you and your family, where we chat about the oils. And I'll just say, hey, and I know you mentioned you really want a balanced oil. If you'd be willing to host that class, I'd love to give you a balanced oil. So I ask at every wellness consult if someone hosts. And when you host, I give them this share hosting overview so that they know what to do. And I go through it with them. So I'll even let them know, like, listen, and because if they host a class and they decide that ultimately they want to build, I'll just say this could be, and I let them build, like, absolutely. But if they're just doing it to help me, that's great. So I let them pick. Are you doing it because you're wanting to earn some rewards? Are you wanting to do the business yourself? You know, kind of help them just figure out what they're doing. And I'll just say, listen, there's no pressure for you to build. If you're doing this as a favor to me, that's all it will ever be. And I don't want you to ever feel pressured. But in this, it also gives you a place that you can write down people that you can invite to your class. And then it gives them the steps for inviting for them. So I really like to give everybody a share guide because it walks them through how to share. And you might get some good tips on here, just with getting people to host, like, you know, we'll drop off the oil they have in your purse or keychain, even drop that off to somebody, let them try it. And maybe they'll be willing to host for you. Maybe they won't. Okay. But this sheet also goes through what their part is as a host, you know, how to invite your people. It gives them a timeline, you know, share experience, invite, remind, invite again. So this will walk your host through exactly what they need to do, so they're not feeling like, I'm not sure what to do. So I like to make it very easy, because somebody's doing me a huge favor in hosting a class, or maybe they're hosting because they want to. I still want them to feel prepared. So that's why I hand them this share guide. I'm really big on doing this share guide. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So literally all I do is you can order this through doTERRA, but you can also, you can order it through doTERRA. The other thing you can do is just send somebody the link. So anyway, so yeah, that's how I invite. Now, if I ever do a booth, I do the exact same thing. I will have like a really cool gift that you can enter to win if you agree to host. And then now one thing I have learned is I like to bring their gifts for them to host, especially if it's someone I don't know when they host, because I've been out lots of free things. There have been a few times people haven't upheld their end of the class. They haven't class like, hey, you got a deep blue for me. Can I get that back? So I usually like to bring it to host, and I always rewards at any class I teach for anybody else who wants to host a class for me. So I'm all about booking classes off of classes. So are there any questions? And I'm sorry, I know it's a little bit loud in my house. My 5-year-old just came up. Are there any questions before we wrap things up? Okay, so my challenge for you this week is to find somebody to do a class for you, or host one for yourself. And yet, if you want help doing a class, I'm happy to pop in virtually. I'm happy to pop in virtually and help you with your class. So I could even do it online for you. If you have an event at your house, we could just do it online. But I'd be happy to help you. So are there any other questions? All right, well, if there's not any questions, then we'll wrap it up. If any questions, just feel free to reach out.